Welcome back. So we're just going to take a minute. This is called a brain dump. Right now we're just reviewing equations and inequalities. You're going to take 1 minute to 5 minutes, whatever I tell you, to list as many things as you can about solving equations or inequalities. I'll pause here while you do that. Okay, so here are some of the things that we've talked about. Number 1, an X over the words per, each, every. Just do like that. Two, to solve, you're going to start with the least of the coefficients. Example, if you have negative 4x on one side and negative 5x on one side, which one are you going to start with?
Negative 5x.
Yeah, you're going to start with the negative 5x. Okay? You're going to add and subtract step 1. Let's talk, this is number 3. Step 1 to solve is add or subtract. Step 2 to solve is add or subtract the constant. And step 3 is multiply or divide. Then the final step, of course, you do not have a solution until you take the solution and you substitute to solve. And then the last thing that I want to make sure that you remember is there's always, in these equations, there's always side 1 versus side 2, okay? And if I could, let me just add one more thing. That is that side 1 is always going to be a number with a variable plus or minus some number. Side 2 is going to be a number plus or minus some number with a variable. I mean, that is as complicated as your equations are going to get this year. Okay, your verses are going to be less than, equal to, or greater than. Okay. Also, one more thing to always remember is that the less than sign kind of looks like an L. That's your less than. And the one that doesn't look like an L, guess what that is? Absolutely, that's greater than. Okay, so let's try some examples here. Let's practice. This is the one that I've created here. This is all of it together, right? The first thing I always want you to do is I want you to start with the sentence with the question mark. And then I want you to look at your answer choices. Not just on this exam, but every test that you ever take for the rest of your natural born lives. Having said that, we're going to start with the sentence with the question mark, and actually before we even do that, I want you to write side 1 versus side 2, okay? And the reason that I'm going to go ahead and write side 1 for me versus side 2 is because I'm looking at my answer choices and I can already identify what is this about. I know that this is going to be an equation or inequality based on the content that you've learned this year, okay? Just by looking at the answer choices. All right, so that's the most important thing as you look at the question. I know it's not about volume and surface area. Okay, I know it's not about angles. What is this about? Side 1 versus side 2. Your verses then is going to be less than, equal to, or greater than. Those are your only 3 options. So when we start with the sentence with the question mark, which words in here mean less than, equal to, or greater than? Are there any words in this sentence with the question mark that to you mean less than, equal to, or greater than? Yes, sir. Same means what? So I've already got my verses. I know that it's equal to. Now let's go back and let's figure out what are the information for side 1 and side 2. I'm going to put an X over this word, just like we talked about, per. I see another one right there, and then I'm going to circle my numbers. Okay, so for side one is the Team Club Rock. So I'm just going to write Rock right here. Team Club Roll over here. Side 2 is Roll. Okay, you got to separate side 1 from side 2. It could be Team Blue, it could be Team versus Team Red, it could be Mackenzie versus Coble. You just got to have one side versus another side. Okay. Now, I've got $5 and I've got 0.65x. So I go ahead and write that for side 1, $5, 0.65x. For side 2, I've got the roll side, I've got $10 and 0.45x. Now that you're starting to decode the words into an equation, you've got to figure out what happens between your two numbers, between the two circles. Are they going to be added or subtracted? Those are your only options, okay, in 8th grade. So between the $5 and the 0.65, what do you think and means? To add or subtract? Yes, in this case, absolutely. It means we're going to add them together. Okay, so I've got $5 and I've got 65 cents per snack for Team Club Rock. I'm going to add them together. Same thing for Roll. For Team Club Roll, I'm going to add them together. Okay? Now, obviously, I do not have an answer here because my answer choices are not the equations, which you don't have to turn there, but I just want to show you right here. Here's an example of decoding words to an equation where all you have to do is just decode the equation and you're done. Okay, but obviously for this guy, this is a level 4 question. This is the one that you would get the most points for if you got it correctly. Because not only do you have to decode the words to an equation, but you also have to solve it. In order to solve it, I'm going to circle the terms with the variables in it, put a box around your constants, and I have to choose which of the two coefficients is the least. Which is less, 45 cents or 65 cents? 45 cents. And I know that my first step is going to be to add or subtract. Since the 45 cents is being added, I'm going to subtract 45x. Don't forget you got to write the x in there. Okay? And what I do to one side, absolutely, we've been talking about that forever. Draw a line to separate this line from the next. Okay? Did we create any zero pairs? What are they? Yeah, the 45s. Bam, they're gone. Okay? Did I do anything to the $10? I can bring that guy down all by itself. Bring down my equal sign because I decided that was my verses. And I didn't do anything to the $5, so I know that's going to come down. What about 65 cents minus 45 cents? What would I have left? 20 cents. Positive 20 cents or negative 20 cents? No, it'd be positive because 65 cents is greater than 45. So you make sure that you're using your calculator. You do not have permission not to use your calculator. This is 0.20x. All right? Now we're down to step 2. Again, step 2, we're going to add and subtract our constant this time. Our objective is to get the x by itself. And I've seen this a lot. People are trying to subtract that 10 away. That'll make no sense. You're trying to get the 5 away from the x. So whatever the constant, whatever the third wheel is, get the third wheel off of your date. If the $5 is positive and you have to add and subtract, what's the opposite of adding? Subtracting. Got to subtract the $5 from one side, and what I do to one side, do to the other. I'm getting so close here. Did I create zero pairs? What are they? Bam. Did I do anything to the 20 cents x? No, I'm very close. 0.20x equals, what's $10 minus $5? Is $5. Okay, now you're down to your second to last step. Last step to solve, but second to last step to confirm. Step 3 is to multiply or divide. What's happening between the 20 cents and the x? Are they being multiplied, divided, added, subtracted? They're being multiplied. They're being multiplied right now, so we're going to divide both sides by 20 cents. Okay? So the question is, in your calculator, because you do not have permission not to use your calculator, you're going to take $5 and divide it by 20 cents. And that's going to give you a solution for what we think x is. How much is it? 25. Is that an answer choice? Okay. Bam, there it is right there. Okay. Now, let me just try to shortcut things for you. You know, if you could think through this. Once you've decoded your equation, if you've done this part right, you can use your calculator and just go substitute these answers into your equation, right? You could substitute 75 to see if you get both sides equal. You could substitute 50 to get, and only one of these answer choices is going to match the equation that you created. Everybody with me? Okay. I'm going to ask you to work just a few minutes on your own and go through some of these. In about 10 minutes, I'm going to see what questions you have specifically on the equations one. I want you to start on 14, on 10, 14. I want you to do number 24. I want you to do number 26. And I want you to do number 28. And then in about 10 minutes, I'm going to see how many questions that I can answer. Good job. All right, so let's start looking at some of these. Number 10. This is just basic substitute to solve, right? If I was going to solve it, and I think you're going to get some of this where they don't give you multiple choice answers. They're asking you to figure out what is the number, okay? Just open-ended questions, right? If it's open-ended, you're going to circle the terms with the variables in them, put a box around the constants, don't forget the sign that goes with them. Make sure that everything's taken care of. Which of these two coefficients is least, 0.1 or 0.6? Yeah, 0.1. I'm adding subtract first step, so I know I'm going to subtract away my 0.1x from both sides. Draw a line to separate one step from the next. Get rid of my zero pairs. Bring down my remainder is 0.5. Bring down my negative x, my equal sign, and my positive 7 on this side. Okay. Step 2, I'm adding and subtracting my constants, but you got to remember, get rid of that third wheel on step 2. Is that 5 being added or subtracted? It's being subtracted. So what's the opposite of subtracting? Add 5 to both sides. Get rid of your zero pair. Bring down your 0.5x equals 12. Last step, got to divide both sides by 0.5 and I get x equals, what do we get? 24. Okay, so now I just did that really quick in front of you. Okay, but also remember, if you just have multiple choice answers, what are you going to do? You're going to use your calculator. 0.6 times 24 minus 5. Enter. 9.4. Go to side 2. 0.1 times 24 plus 7. Side 1 equals side 2 if and only if x equals 24. You understand? Side 1 is not going to equal side 2 for these other ones. So understand, it's get a little bit easier, but you get just fewer questions. Now, this was one of the harder questions on this particular year that it was given, 12. I didn't ask you to do that, but I want to go through it with you talking about substitute to solve. So you already have your answer choices, right? Well, you already know how to put in a fraction, so go ahead and put that in your calculator now. Put in this fraction with me. I'm going to take each of these. I'm going to take 3 and divide it by 3. Page right and subtract 3. That's going to give me negative 2. I'm going to do the same thing for side 2. Here's side 2 over here. Okay, put in your fraction framework. I'm going to take 3 divided by 9, page right, and add 3 for side 2. I get 3/10, so I hit math 2 to get the decimal just to make sure. So I've got one side equals negative 2, and the other side equals $3.33. Those are not the same number. So we know that A is not going to make side 1 versus side 2 equal. It is not. Okay? Now, once you get this in here, well, you just come back in let's try, I'm going to try C this time. 27 divided by 3, page right, minus 3. That equals 6. Again, 27 now divided by 9, page right, plus 3. That equals 6. Okay? So I know that the answer is 27 because 27 is the only answer that will make both sides equal. Let's look at number 14. Okay, this is talking about angles. When you read the sentence with the question mark, this is talking about angles. Okay, but it is an equations question, and here is what should trigger you. You've got your 8th grade equation framework right here. You've got a number with a variable and a constant. You got a number with a variable and a constant. We're going to write them out. 5x plus 24 on one side. I've got 9x minus 17 on the other side. Question, what is my versus? What do you think my versus is going to be? Why? What word? Says congruent. Now I know I'm setting one side equal to the other. I'm substituting each one of these in for x until I get one that makes both sides equal. You with me? All right. Anybody get an answer for that? B as in boy? Or D as in dollar? Okay. Just check your answers as we move on. Let's go to 24. 24. Immediately I'm going to look at my sentence with the question mark. I look at my answer choices. I know this is about equations. Has to be about equations because I've got equations in my answer choices. Start with the sentence with the question mark. The sentence with the question mark reads, which equation can be used, blah, 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 blah. Which word means less than, equal to, or greater than? There it is again. Same. So I know in between side 1 and side 2, I'm going to have equals. Let's go talk about side 1. Side 1 is the first class. Side 2 is some other class. Put an X over the words per, each, and every, and circle the numbers. Take those numbers and put them in side 1 versus side 2. One class has $250X and $350. Side 2 has $3X and $225. Okay? Now, if I look at my answer choices right now, is there a 3, the 3 and the variable and 350, are they on the same side? No, they're on two different sides. That cannot work. Okay, let me look at the second one. 350x, is there a 350x anywhere in my equation? 350t, no, that don't work. 250x, I see that here, plus 350, that might work. And I've got $3x plus 25. That looks like that might work, and I haven't even figured out what my add and subtractives are yet. How about the last one, 350x? Did we already decide 350 doesn't have a variable, that's a constant? You see that? If you've decoded this properly, you should be able to work through your equations properly and select the correct answer. Okay, now, if it's asking you to type it in, which I think it's going to, then you got to come back up here and figure out that these mean that, to put add or subtract in between your two numbers here. Okay? Last one, and these are the ones that can be kind of long, but let me tell you why. Because you see all these words. See all these words? But what's going to tell you that this is an equation? They're going to throw an equation at you, and you just have to go through and pick out which one matches the equation that's given to you. Same deal, okay? You're looking for the ones that have same or similar in their question mark. You're going to put an X over the words per, each, and every, and you're going to try to figure out which one matches that. All right?